This podcast is sponsored by the Z Stick. Get the Z Stick. Walk, stretch, or strike with the Z Stick. Only at Zenhaling. Hey, what's up, everybody? Here, welcome to another podcast and pre-podcast episode. I'm out here, going to get a little walk, a little stretch, a little strike on. It's January 2015. Making sure you're getting outside. I'm up here in Philly, in the Northeast. It's a little frigid here, a little bite, but I'm making sure I'm getting out, getting some fresh air, getting the hips moving. So I'm going to start just with a little walk, and I like to come here at the farm, so let's get it. Not a bad, if you have to walk, better than walking in industrial park, but if that's what you have, then get it. Getting into fresh air and having an opportunity to get out in nature, even in the heart of winter. You know, it's January 2015. So for me, it's just coming to the farm, or a place where I can get away a little bit, stretch it out, do a little Z-stick training. So today, I'm just doing a little walking, loosen up the hips. Then I'll start to maybe do some stretching. I'll do some Z-stick stretches, standing series, maybe a little down series. And then at the end, we'll do some drills, maybe some abs, a couple drills, 100 steps. And then, of course, I'm always going to follow up with some sort of meditation. And throughout the entire time, I'm working on breath. And in today's podcast episode, this podcast, I know we're going to be concentrating on alignment. So if I start getting tired at all during this, just like Bruce Lee talks about stance, not overcommitting to the base, how wide that is, not having too narrow of a base, and just paying attention to posture and alignment, like I'm always talking about, whether it's meditation or some of this movement. So I'm going to continue on with the walk. If I need the Z-stick at times, it's a little muddy out here, I'll use it. Let's get it. Hey, welcome everybody. Back here at another podcast. Now we're live. So that was just a couple hours ago. Knew it was going live tonight. Figured maybe I'll capture a little bit of what happened. So this is just me in an everyday trying to squeeze some training in, just like everybody else, you at home. So welcome to another podcast. This is the Zenhaling Podcast. I'm Tim Kelly, creator of Zenhaling. As you probably know, Zenhaling is the Zen essence, yogic path, martial spirit, and it does that through explores everything breathing, meditation, movement, and energy. And in today's podcast, as I was just talking about, in today's podcast, the last couple ones, we did some breathing, talked some overview, last one on meditation. This one, we're getting a little bit more into movement, and the theme in today's is talking about posture and alignment. And a lot of that, we're going to go a step further and a layer further and talk about our awareness of some of those things. So in today's podcast, the flavoring is from Bruce Lee and some of his teachings from Jeet Kune Do, which was his discipline that he taught up until I think he died. So, and what I love about Bruce Lee's teachings are the attitude and just the way that he would break down his training. So even though he was a skilled martial artist, most of his great teaching was about attitude and discipline and restraint and how to use your energy. So anyway, in this podcast today, we're going to go back to some of that training footage because what we're going to do is get right into our break it down segment where we look at a live training clip, and I'm going to break it down and just kind of talk you through a little bit about what's going on. So in this podcast right now, we're going to get right to the break it down segment. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to concentrate on that posture and alignment, and then later on in the advice from the past and in the quote segment, we're going to get to some of the Bruce Lee quotes and really break this stuff down. So enjoy yourself, get something to drink, get your breath, get your own awareness of your own posture and alignment, understand what you're doing, drink your water, start your breathing, or just bring your awareness into this podcast and see where any of this stuff applies to you in your life, or maybe where you're headed in your own training. So anyway, getting back to the break it down segment here in the Zenhaling Podcast. So as we're talking about, this break it down segment is where I'm going to break it down and break down one of the training clips. So in today's break it down segment, so the ground here is a sloppy mess. Got these wrestling shoes on, feet are soaked, so I'm better off probably just training barefoot. And it's a ton of goose poop out here, so I guess it'll be good to fertilize my feet. Right. So what's happening here is, this is in yoga, we'll call that samastiti. So it's next one, kind of like a mountain pose or tadasana where you're really grounding, but it's a ready position. And what I like to do is do a little version of my samastiti with the Z stick. And as you see, I'm just kind of kicking it up. And if I can actually come up into a crane position and be balanced, then I know I'm ready to start flowing in some Z stick poses. And that's what I'm starting to do right here. So, today it was a great day. It's January here, suburban Philadelphia, as I was saying before. And this is a great opportunity to take in some good fresh air. So all I'm doing here is some half moon poses, which really helps to open up the chest. And, nothing formal right now. This is just starting to ground myself. And throughout this entire today's training, but really just in about every training, I'm always trying to, build that repetition where then you're aware of your posture and alignment. And that's just in yoga. That's in Tai Chi. So in Tai Chi, we have that horse stance, and we're taking root. And that goes with then being able to be functional. Then when you have to be functional as an athlete. So even when I'm doing some of the movements right here, this is just baby getting warmed up. But as I start to then warm up my old hips and start to stretch my intercostals, the space between my ribs. It's a space where we hold a lot of our emotions. So I'll be out here right now. And again, I'm just trying to really make sure that I'm feeling loose before I really start to do any type of movement. So I'm not doing anything right now, just little baby movements, little baby micro movements, just with the hips back and forth. And I'm testing my base. So it doesn't mean I'm not tightening my yoga bandhas or my martial art locks at the same time, so that I'm testing, my internal tendon and my hara, bringing that energy into my tendon, my abdominal, my midline, my hara, my root. So storehouse of energy. So anyway, and then right here, I'm starting to loosen up a little bit. So I'm in I went from probably normal 5-point star to a warrior 2, and now I'm in a triangle position right here. And, nothing formal. You just have to kind of let go where you want to let go. So I'm not really trying to demonstrate with the stick much. I'm really feeling it. And as you see, you can use the stick completely for balance, or you could be not. And, I'm just showing you there that you could do the poses with or without the stick. It's really up to you to use and approach each pose or each exercise with the yin or the yang mindset. And, for me today was a little ebb and flow. I like to let's start with a walk and then start with a light stretch and start to get warmed up. And then I might start more of a flow with the stretch. So, and here I love this pose right here. That's the samurai lunge. Really get to open up the hips, get a chance to work the Achilles and work the quad. And as you see right here, even what I'm doing right there, letting go of the neck, that feels just like a down dog, or if you're doing a supported down dog against the wall. All those are very releasing. You can even see with the wrist up top. So, that's like the crane warding hand in martial arts. And as you see, I'm just showing you the different variations here with the Z stick of how you can kind of express yourself in the Z stick stretches. So again, I'm just warming up. And, with the wide base, keeping my legs in that wide base the entire time lunging, you're working it. I'm feeling that. As we'll get into that Bruce Lee quote, you don't want to be too far extended. So as you see right here, I'm trying to do a little bit of movement and I'm testing. Am I too far extended? Maybe. Look at, you see me fiddling with the stick? So if I couldn't move back and forth and I didn't feel like I could be mobile back and forth, then I would want to shorten my base a little bit, but not enough where then it prohibited me from flowing. So again, testing and making sure that I have my base, my posture and alignment under me the entire time. The field today was sloppy mess, very slick. Like I said, a lot of goose turd on there. So, as I started getting moving, still in a yin mindset, but starting to yang. That was the first part, doing the whip it right there. I was just doing the whip it drill. And then right now, I'm starting to come back to center, and I'm going to do the other side, and a good connecting pose for the center is the straddle. So right now I'm in the straddle position, and I'll cut to it so you guys can see it. So as you see, my legs are still, so I'm just fiddling around with the hood there, but the legs are still in that wide position. So this entire time, and probably for the entire time that you'll see me on screen, my legs will be in that position if I'm doing the stretch. So that's why you can get a great workout if you're just putting 10 minutes into it, because we're talking about 10 continuous minutes of working your quads or working your hip flexors and opening your chest and paying attention to your posture and alignment, and hopefully bringing that awareness of breath to that intention and to your body movement the entire time. So continue to watch this. As you see right here, this is a reverse warrior. Really get to open up the front of the body. So, if you're doing the lunging poses and more the triangles, you want to, and regular warrior too, you want to be doing reverse warrior. And again, I'm just really testing, again, the Bruce Lee piece with the stance, making sure that I'm functional with my legs even that wide. Again, it was slick there. I had these wrestling shoes on that I like, but definitely not the best shoes for being outside in a semi-rugged terrain there, where it's not really rugged terrain, but you got these old corn stalks that stick up, so they definitely pierce the foot. And right now I'm just kind of, loosening up my torso a little bit, just noticing how I feel. And I'm also probably working the expulsion of the breath. So I'm probably working more an expulsion of breath. And that's the other piece, really releasing as I'm training. So, that's that micro movement of layers of how you're approaching your exercise and the intention. That's like in yoga, you could be approaching it very yin and breathing very even more Ujjayi breath. I could be doing that more Ujjayi breath, but I could also be doing more Kabal body or more expulsion breath, like you saw me doing. And as I'm stretching right here, I'm probably back to more of a Ujjayi type of breath. But making sure you do both sides. I love triangle pose, especially with the Z stick, because you could really let go and you could open up that whole area from your fingertip all the way up through your chest and through your neck and carotids. So I just love that. And probably in this training at this point, I'm going to probably start to get a little bit more yang as I'm warming up. So I was outside today, and I know I just started to kind of loosen up at that point. So I'll get a little bit more yang. But you have to find, what works for you. I'm not really sure what that is. Right now, this pose that I'm in right there is kind of a reverse warrior, but I'm also, testing that front warding hand. So that's the sweep hand. So I know I have to be kind of low. I have a cat here that's going to try and get up right now and end the podcast. So that's great. This is my cat Indy in the podcast. Hi, buddy. Breathe well. Again, that I'm loose. I'm probably just going to do a little stick yasa. So I start again with that samastiti, into crane, and in my warrior position. And then right now I'm just really starting to not just drop the stick, but starting to loosen up. So I'll just do a little whip it, I'm sure, which is the side to side. And right now, I think I'm just doing a stick yasa. And a stick yasa is kind of my take on the yoga vinyasa, where you would start with, coming up into your front of your mat in samastiti, and then inhale, reaching up, exhale, folding forward, inhale, come up with a flat back, exhale, coming down all the way, high push, high plank, low plank, inhale, up dog, exhale, down dog, Walk or jump your feet to your hands. Inhale all the way up, reaching, reverse swan dive, Samastiti. So when you're doing yoga vinyasa, that's kind of a version of that. In the stick yasa, I like to connect all the different poses. So as you see right here, I just went from warrior 2 to reverse warrior, back to warrior 2, into triangle pose. Triangle pose, and then we go into the samurai lunge, which is really just moving the stick from one shoulder side to the other. And right there, I'm just doing a connecting yang exercise. Back to straddle, which is to center and a good connecting. And then from straddle, I'm doing a twist. So, those twists are great for moving your bowels along and peristalsis, moving that energy. It's great for activating and moving the toxins out of the liver and the spleen. Those things right here. Boom, boom, boom. So as you see, those twists, these are the twists that really get your metabolism going. They're the ones that start to, like in yoga, we talk about when we twist, we wringing the body out like a wet rag. So as you can see, I'm still breaking down this training clip. And, right now, I'm just transitioning into more yang exercise. So right now, boom, right into Muay Thai knees. This is a quick 10-minute workout that I'm showing you right here. This is part of my daily thing that I'll do. Muay Thai knees, each knee coming up, expulsion of the breath. Like the boxer. Expulsion of the breath on the knee, Muay Thai knee coming up, and then you could do any variation of it. You could use a stick like that, but you could use some rhythm with it. You could do a jabber step or, switch kick step, just to kind of work your footwork a little bit. And again, the whole time, working the breath. So, and making sure you're in check with your posture and alignment. And then, one of the other Bruce Lee quotes that we're gonna get to tonight. It's hilarious because it's something that's going to happen right here. It talks about finely skilled movements, and when you're tired, just to watch the finely skilled movements. So, when I was tired, when I'm more tired, and I'm trying to do more of these spinning the stick, which is more freestyle caning.
Just a little freestyle caning.
Finely skilled movements like that become more difficult.
We'll try and
I'll drop the stick much more. I'm more prone to clubbing myself in the head with it. So right now I'm doing some freestyle caning. So I'm going to that.
Working on form, alignment. Not trying to be too extended. Whew.
Again, staying with it, still staying with some sort of kick. So at least I'm still trying to expose. This entire theme for me today is expose internal pressure. It's just where I am emotionally. So the good part about this is I'm starting to really get to know myself to the point where then when I go out and train, I know what my body needs. So that way then my emotional body doesn't have to kind of react. So I already know, I need to expose my breath. I was feeling rapid inhales a little bit. And that's what happens when we get stressed out. We start taking these little rapid inhales. So for me, it's good. Lots of expulsions. I like hitting bags. I like doing yang training to go along with that yin stuff. So again, freestyle caning, things like this where I'm just moving the body a little bit. Feels good. and gets my breath out. I really work on the exhale of the breath. Got to work a little bit on the hands. In football, quarterback Brian McCluskey, our quarterback, would always grab the ball, boom, 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 boom. Those guys had the big hands, but they would work on, just like I was doing, handwork. So, and that stick drumming also is the stick hitting against the hand. And what that's good for is reflexology. That's hitting areas on the palms that's corresponding to meridian points and also acupressure points and internal organs. So just like pressing your palms into the earth when we're doing down dogs, same principle. As you see, still continuing the training, transitioning into balance. So I'm going from yin and yang when I'm doing that. I'm in a real yin pose where I'm doing the balance, but then as that balance pose starts to get difficult and I get really extended right there in my position, then I transition into more of a yang position. So, and that's okay. It's good to kind of go back and forth, in and out of that. And that's kind of where the athlete is. You're relaxed until you need to kind of do something. Then it's how can you strike, and how fast can you strike, and how much effort does it take from your physical body to actually do that physical movement. So anyway, this is a good movement right here for maybe pitchers and just kind of keeping loose, very Aikido-like, where I'm just kind of going with the momentum of the stick and keeping my wrist loose at times, and then at times I'm not. I'm coming out and striking. So I'm going to cut to that a little bit. Again, a yang exercise. Ruben Amaro from the Phillies. Dude, I should be coming down and training some of your pitchers, or at least a couple of your other guys with the stick. And I'm going to get to that right here. As you see, boom. Hey, what's up, everyone? Just finishing up a little pre-podcast workout here at the farm. And man, what a great day. It's been just raining here. It's Philadelphia, suburban Philadelphia. And it's been raining and ice and like 15 degrees and -5, all that kind of stuff. So it's just great to get a good day to train. So I'll see you guys later on the podcast. You get yours, I'm getting mine. How about that, huh? How about that? Got these beautiful deer. How about that, huh? Did you guys catch that? On the hood of the car, I had my coffee, had my bug juice. That's right. I was cheating. Anyway, what a great day out there. And that's the break it down segment. So that's just a little bit about talking you through what's going through in my mind and in my own personal training. And again, that was kind of doing a quickie. I mean, that might have been 15 minutes of or 12 minutes of footage that you just saw there. And, for me, that was just a great little workout. So let's continue on with this podcast. And that was the Break It Down segment. Appreciate you guys seeing that. In this next one, we're going to be going to breaking down some quotes. And that's one that I call Advice from the Past.
His real name's Moses. His real name's Moses.
I'll get up and I'll bury this telephone in your head.
All right, guys. So this first quote is one that I love. It's from Bruce Lee, and it's simply balance is the all important factor in a fighter's attitude or stance. Without balance at all times, he can never be effective. One should seek good balance in motion, not in stillness. Balance is achieved through proper body alignment. And that's kind of what we were talking about for a good portion of today, and that was the theme of today: posture and alignment, and why it's so important. It's important definitely in movement, but that whole posture and alignment it's really important when we get to talking about meditation and things. So in meditation, a lot of our posture and alignment, like last week we talked about gravity. So being weightless on that force of gravity, like a skyscraper stacked on top of each other. So when we in our good posture and alignment, we stack our body in that proper position, then our body's in a relaxed state. So then if we try to meditate, we have a shot at that. We also have good collateral circulation when we're doing that. So that's one of the key elements of why. The other thing is just being aware of your posture and alignment, knowing that your head is 10 pounds. So that would be like having 10 pounds on a broomstick. So if you were trying to balance that, that's great. But knowing that, just having your head off a little bit, how much that really throws off your spine, and then how that corresponds to your internal organs and how you feel. Again, like gravity, feeling weightless or light as a feather. The 200-pound woman feeling weightless, and the 100-pound or the 300-pound man feeling light as a feather. It's all the relationship to gravity. So anyway, let's get on that quote. We talk about balance. It's important. It's important mentally. It's also important physically. So physically, we know, we don't want to be too far extended, or if we're out of balance, that's the principles of Aikido. That's Tai Chi, push hands. That's MMA. That's a lot of wrestling. So balance is important. And like he's saying, the fighter's attitude or stance. And then without balance at all times, they can never be effective. And that goes on and off the mat. Seek good balance in motion, but think about that on and off the mat. Proper body alignment. So if we're at desk and all, in rolfing and things like rolfing, our attitude, or people you'll see in rolfing, our body takes on our emotions. So you'll see somebody with a big gut and it's rock hard because they just have all their emotions tied into that. And knowing that our attitude goes with our posture and alignment. We're sluggish, we're slumped, and we have a frown on our face. Our shoulders are back, we're walking in the room, we have a smile on our face. A lot of that goes hand in hand. So that's that synergy of the body-mind. Just putting your body in a good position. A lot of times we'll put a smile on your face or perk your eyes up. So just knowing that, being more aware of how you look. And a lot of that is doing some mirror work too. Looking at yourself in the mirror, understanding how you may be coming off to others. Even watching yourself on video. Put your FaceTime on, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Anyway, let's move on. We're going to continue on with the quote segments here. So I either call it advice from the past or say it ain't so. What? Say it ain't so. That's right. Somebody said it, so say it ain't so. And in this one, we're going back to Bruce Lee and we're talking about proper posture. So, you know, his quote is proper posture is a matter of effective interior and exterior organization of the body, which can be achieved only by long and well disciplined practice. So, well disciplined practice. And that's what yogis talk about all the time. Martial artists, who train diligently for years, that's what they talk about. Repetitive actions. The yoga sequence over and over. So people are like, don't you get bored with it? You can always improve it. Even if you have pristine technique, your technique may be to let go. Yours might be to surrender and not do perfect technique. That might be where the work is for you. But you can always improve upon something if that's where you're going for it. So, or you could take it that next level, the micro movement of it. Take it that much further. Do something with the breath. Throw a mudra, a mantra. Throw a lock in there. The masters don't master this stuff. So you just have to approach it one training day at a time, but keep showing up. So again, that balance of body and mind. He talks about that a lot. So remember, proper posture, it's a matter of effective interior and exterior organization of the body. So that's the mind, that's the thought, and that's the emotions. Making sure we have that stuff in check. And cultivating that with a well-disciplined practice. So let's move on with some more quotes. We're going to continue on with quote segments because Bruce Lee is so inspiring. And we're going to go back to this in many of the podcasts, but we're going to continue on with this quote segment. Little say it ain't so. And we'll go to the next one from him. It's about finely skilled movements. And this was happening to me today in the podcast, in my own training. Do not practice finely skilled movements after you are tired, for you will begin to substitute gross movements with finer ones. Instead, shift training to employing more gross movements, usually designed principally to develop endurance. And that makes sense. When you get tired doing the fine tuning, it's tough. You should then do more cardiovascular or go for a run and work on your endurance or work on some other piece. And in a lot of our training here at Zenhaling, that might be to change it up. Go from yin to yang so you can keep that ebb and flow and work within that. And that's a little bit of what he's talking about. So getting to know where you are with your training, getting to know where your body is, when you're starting to get sloppy. As you saw today, I was out there today and I was dropping the stick at times, and it's because I was getting out of breath. And anytime you get out of breath, you're not really even thinking. That's what happens. You start to lose your breath and you start to lose your mind. And that's why developing that rhythm with the breath, and keeping your faculties about you, keeping your awareness about you, and that's on and off the mat. So again, finely skilled movements, shift your training over to then, instead of the detailed ones, more the grunt stuff. Do some weight training, do some stuff where you don't have to really think about it, where you don't have to be all calm, cool, and collected and have your form about you. Go for a walk, but do something. Do something. The next quote is again about stance. And it's a Bruce Lee quote. And he talks about too wide of a stance. And he talks about too wide of a stance being too wide of a stance prevents proper alignment, destroying the purpose of balance, but obtaining solidarity and power at the cost of speed and efficient movement. A short stance prevents balance, as it does not give the basis from which to work, and speed results, but at a loss of power and balance. So when do you see that? I mean, you see that a lot of times if you're like in that most of my training today, I had that really wide base. So for me, I had good balance, a real solid base. I felt very rooted. So I felt very Tai Chi and rooted. Somebody's going to come up and blast me. It'd have to be my big buddy Ralph Tam that did that. But otherwise, I felt rooted. Um, Conversely, if I'm doing some of the yang stuff and I was doing the drill and more trying to spin and stuff, then my feet are close together and I was working a little bit with footwork. My feet are closer together because I'm working more on speed and working maybe on turning a little bit. So if I'm too wide, again, I won't be able to kind of have that mobility. So you got to kind of get to understand, and a lot of that is getting our tail under us, our base under us. So anyway, that's the Bruce Lee quotes. That's the advice from the past for this week's podcast. And we're going to move it on with the podcast. So, one of the things, we've got a little house cleaning here. You see right here, I have the Zenhaling training manual. The training manual is something that for people that are interested in really seriously taking on the path, it's 175 pages of what I consider a lot of the pearls that are out there in the things that I've studied and the things I'm interested in. I feel like this is a lot of the base of the breathing, the meditation exercises or tricks, and basically a coffee table book that a lot of people should have because it's general knowledge that I believe that everybody should possess. And I would love it for people to share it with each other because I know how it's helped me heal my own physical body and also, go on a path of training. And that's something that I think we miss. This for me is life training. And my training doesn't stop just in college or at a high school piece or because I'm done competitive sports. Life training, always be training. Again, Bruce Lee, always be training. So the training manual, if you're serious about it, contact me on zenhaling.com. Zenhaling, Zenhaling.com. Think of inhaling, but zenhaling.com. And we're going to continue on with the last segment here. We're going to do a little question and answer segment. So, I've gone to some of the questions that seem to always come up. And this question comes up a lot. And it talks about, what type of yoga or martial art is the best for you. So, I hear it a lot. What's the best yoga? Or, is it Bikram or Hatha or Raja or somebody told me to take this one. And, I'm sure martial arts is the same way. And there's a quote that says, there are no superior martial arts. There are only superior martial artists. And that's really what, I think you should look at in a lot of elements and corners of your own life that, take your own excellence to what you're doing. Bring it with you. Instill your own excellence into what you're doing. So you be the expert. You be the martial artist or the yogi or whoever that is you want, that business person or that great father or that inspiring being or that artist. You be it. You be the musician. You be the change agent, that light worker, that caregiver. Whatever that is for you, you be that. Make that yours. So again, it's not really, because you joined the best club, but it's because of you and what you're bringing to it. The excellence, the attitude, the discipline, the total value that you bring to it. That's what we're talking about there. So anyway, let's move on with the questions. This next one is a question of how often should I meditate? So, yeah, I was looking on one of the bulletins, and it's like, how often should I meditate? Is this something that, I need to be doing 4 times a day? Somebody told me I need to do this 4 times a day. No, you don't have to meditate 4 times a day. And, again, meditation is an act, it's a state of mind, and it's practice. So it's kind of a knack. It's not something you're probably going to get right away. And you're probably going to have to practice some different elements in order to even have a shot at meditating. Now, sure, if you get lost in certain things, archery or, a yoga practice or art, that's all kind of what we're looking at when you get into that meditative state. It's getting lost, absorbed, completely absorbed. But you really want that no mind thing. So it's like, oh, where the hell was I over the last, oh my God, I didn't even realize I was just doing that for the last 2 hours. Where was I? That's kind of the state that you want to get in. So don't be too hard on yourself like you have to be the monk. But, you will have to do some training. You probably will have to do some breath work. And you probably will have to get some fundamentals of your posture and alignment and loosen your body up, however that is. Yoga, Pilates, Tai Chi. But, you do yoga poses to be able to sit for long periods of time in meditation. So if that's really your goal, that's kind of what that's about. And the last question here, before we get into the last segment and end this podcast, is, somebody wrote, I lose my breath at yoga class when I'm doing yang exercises. So when they're kind of doing exercises in more one of the Ashtanga yoga classes, and they lose their breath. I'm not really sure. What I like to do is the Ujjayi breath. So the Ujjayi breath, if I'm doing the Ashtanga yoga, that can carry me through a good yoga practice. And that's simply so that for me, that audible Ujjayi breath usually takes me through a physical practice. Today, and pretty frequently right now when I'm doing yang exercises, more intermittent, like striking, then I'm doing more Kabbalah body expulsion, which I call the boxer breath. That's the expulsion out the nasal passage. And what I like about that is you're really concentrating on the exhale. I'll inhale enough just from gasping for breath. But if I inhale too much, I'll get lightheaded and your body will get taxed. And that's what happens to us a lot. We overbreathe. And in physical activities, that happens a lot too. So anyway, just being aware that, you can lose your breath when you're doing the yang exercises. It's probably because you're overbreathing. So embrace that exhale. Really make sure you're exposing the breath. Try not to breathe, inhale through the mouth too much. You take in a little too much, you can hyperventilate. So that would be my suggestion for that. And you guys who have questions, make sure you send your questions in every week so we could do the question and answer segment, and we'll try and get to them. And those who have the best question, maybe we'll give some sort of, get them on the podcast and have a live Q&A with them. So anyway, we're going to finish up this podcast. I'm going to get out of here, but I'm going to end with a video that's on the Art of Meditation. So if you haven't picked up the Art of Meditation DVD, pick it up. It's on the website. Reference the podcast. You'll get it for $10. Make sure you go to the YouTube channel, go to Ustream. Make sure you subscribe. If there's somebody in your life you think would benefit from some of this, please send it on to them. And we're going to end with this segment on posture alignment. Everybody, I appreciate you. Appreciate you for coming on this. And, as I'm always talking about, just train, find that time each day to go inward, to take care of yourself. And as always, breathe well. Take care of yourself. I'll see you next time. Again, meditation is concentration, but it's also facilitated by relaxation. And when we talk about relaxation, a lot of relaxation is performed with a series of gestures that starts with the physical body. And that is what we talk about the posture of meditation, the alignment of meditation. So in this DVD, we're going to teach you some of the techniques on how to create proper alignment so that you have the proper energy flow through your body. So that way you can sit for long periods of time. Whatever technique, whatever posture you decide. So it could be sitting here in full lotus like I'm sitting. It could be on a chair. It could be standing. It could be moving around. Again, still, even when you're moving around, you want to carry your body in proper alignment. So that way, the physical tension is at a minimum within your body. Remember, this head that we have on top of our neck is 10 pounds. 10 pounds. So it's just like having a broomstick and a bowling ball on top of it. If our head is not completely seated on top of our neck, on top of our chest, with the shoulders back and relaxing back and down, with our spine lifting and our chin tucking, if it's not in that proper position, we're going to be carrying tension within our neck, in our chest, in our spine, in our back. So putting yourself in proper alignment, proper position, it's going to really help to aid to relax the physical body, put us in a proper position and posture for meditation. So in the posture of meditation, again, it comes in a variety of different flavors and looks differently to a lot of different people. You're going to have to do what works best for you. So for me, I like the lotus position. This allows me to keep my sits bones, which are the two bones at the bottom of your glutes, grounded into the yoga mat. And then from there, I have the rest of my body I can start to put into proper alignment. And what that means is not tilting left or right or front or back. It's extending from the waist, so extending the spine. And the spine, keeping it straight, but not straight and rigid, keeping it straight at a point until it starts to become to those points of the natural curvature of the spine. The spine has natural curvature points within it as you start to go up from the bottom on up. And these natural curvature points are what the yogis refer to as the energy points or chakras. And at those points, you want to make the subtle adjustment on your own. This comes with time. This comes over time with practice and with getting to know your body and training your body. So again, extending from the waist, extending the spine, keeping the breath constant. Whatever breathing technique you choose, but keeping it constant, flowing. It's going to help relax your intercostals, the space between your ribs, help you flow the energy through your physical body. So again, keeping the spine curving, those natural curvature points along the chakras, and then noticing where the body is. Again, not left or right, not front or back tilting, but keeping straight. Relaxing the shoulders back and down. Head lifting. Again, they talk about maybe the head lifting, almost like your head is supporting the weight, the universe, the sky. Maybe you want to keep a little bit of a tuck, just like military position. When you see the military position, it might help to close your eyes. Closing the eyes, stilling everything else that's around you, any other distractions that may be around you. This is one of the postures that we can assume for meditation. Now, I'm in what's called seated meditation or zazen or zazen meditation. But meditation, again, comes in a variety of different forms. One of the postures here is full lotus, but you could do kind of a modified half lotus. So I'm stacking one ankle on top of my hip. You see where my heel is? My heel is contacting a natural point of one of these energy points. So I'm in full lotus. Both heels are contacting natural energy points along the Sushumna, the Ida and Pingala. So again, in this posture, my sits bones are grounded. I'm extending from the waist. I'm recognizing the natural curvature of the spine. Keeping my shoulders relaxed back and down. And I'm keeping my head lifting and my chin tucking. And again, the head lifting like it's supporting the weight of the sky. And it might be helpful for me to close my eyes, to block out any distractions in my environment, anything going on around you. And then what to do with the hands. So one of the things you can do with your hands, a lot of people think that you can keep your hands at a level where they naturally extend out so that you're not inhibiting the flow of energy with where your elbows may be bent or your wrists may be bent. My hands naturally, if they're extended, lie here. So I could have the back of my wrists on my knees, with my palms up. I could also be doing some sort of mudra with my hands. Same position, arms extended, doing a mudra. I could be having my hands just cupped, contacting my abdominal region, my tendon, the hara. One hand on top of the other, intersecting my thumbs. In this position, I could also be crossing my arms and grabbing for each big toe. And what that's doing is completing the circuit. And that circuit is the energy circuit. And sometimes in Qigong or martial arts, we talk about, maybe you hear about it in Reiki. So again, wherever your physical posture is, even if you want to just if this helps to keep your shoulders back and down by having your palms into the mat. Sometimes it helps to, if you're in this position, to lift up a little bit first, really extend, and then to help get your alignment. If you're uncomfortable with lotus position, then you may want to try a seated half lotus position. You could try hero's pose. So basically in hero's pose, doing the same thing. You see my arms are extending naturally out and they're falling where they naturally go. They're extended out, they just happen to go onto my knees. I don't have to be doing any type of mudra. I can just keep my palms flat on top of my knees. And then I'm going to start working all the same principles that we just talked about. Extending from the waist, recognizing those natural curvature points in the spine, shoulders back and down, head lifting, a chin tucking. So again, that head supporting the weight of the sky. Paying attention to my breath. Maybe even bringing a little bit of tension into the lower abdomen, the tendon or the hara. For some people, the hero position is going to be uncomfortable. If you don't have the flexibility in your ankles or the front of your shins or in your thighs, this may appear to be uncomfortable. Whatever position feels good, and that you feel that you can sit for long periods of time in and relax your body in, is the position that you want to assume. So again, this might not even work. I could even take a chair and I want to sit on a chair. Now, if you're sitting on a chair, you want to make sure that in sitting on a chair, you don't want to be in a big cushy chair that you're going to start to slump in and it's going to take over you. You want to be in a chair that's maybe a folding chair. Kind of bring your butt to the edge of the chair and work all the same principles that we were just talking about. So extending from the waist, your feet are now going to be the grounding point on the floor, but your sits bones are still going to be on top of the chair. And then you're going to be extending from the waist, Relaxing the shoulders back and down, lifting that head, tucking that chin, breathing, maybe even smiling. So just know that the physical posture that you present to the world, and even in meditation, in your own closed, quiet meditation practice, is the same one that you're presenting to the world. So if you have a frown on your face, or you're grumpy or miserable, and it's going to come out in the physical body. You see this a lot of times in rolfing, in body work. So you'll see somebody with the big gut and it's rock hard. They're holding all their emotions in there. You'll see the person that's bent over. They're walking and they're bent over and they're 80 years old and they're bent over because life has just been hitting them down and knocking them down. So they're bent over and they have the cane and all. So these are all metaphors for how we're dealing with life. And it's the same with the posture of meditation. So putting ourselves in that proper alignment, proper position. And that's a little bit about that military position I just talked about. In military position, that's a position where we're rigid. We're ready for action. It's not a position that we're ready for relaxing the physical body. It's why in military position they assume that position. It's one of the reasons, so they can be alert. Anytime the physical body is completely relaxed, you're prone to falling asleep. Little trick if you're falling asleep, they call it the unnatural positions. So putting your body in an unnatural position in order to stay awake. You're on a long car ride and you're trying not to fall asleep. Putting your body in an unnatural position so that way your body remains tense and under tension and alert. That's again where it works for us in the military position and in that type of job. But as far as for meditation, we're trying to facilitate relaxation so that we can concentrate and bring our body into a meditative state. Just finished up here, little pre-podcast workout. Unbelievable. I love these creatures here, deer, little family. Hopefully they're not intimidated by me. I'll send them an home. Got behind them.